Men's Health released 10 muscle building fundamentals that you need to learn in order to gain muscle. And today I'm going to critique these. There's some of this that's good and a lot of this that needs a little bit of tweaking. And that's what I'm here to help you do. As someone who's gained 100 pounds of muscle going from marathon runner to world's strongest man, I not only have the experience, but I have the education as well with 6 years of post-secondary in exercise-related subjects. So without further ado, let's get to the 10 muscle building fundamentals that Men's Health says. I'm going to run through them and then I'm going to go through them one by one and critique. Number 1, prioritize protein intake. Number 2, eat more. Number 3, work big, not small. Number 4, train heavy. Number 5, have a drink first. Number 6, don't always go hard. Number 7, down the carbs post-workout. Number 8, challenge yourself with progressive overload. Number 9, maximize time under tension. And number 10, sleep at least 6 hours a night. I'm going to go through one by one. I'm going to finish with my top 3 tips to build muscle. So first off, we have prioritizing protein intake. Now we have to set the stage here. If we are building muscle, we are gaining weight. We are in a calorie surplus. Now let me outline what they say about prioritizing protein intake. They say your body constantly drains protein reserves for other uses like making hormones. They say 1 gram per pound of body weight is what you should eat in order to maximize your muscle growth. Now, when you're in a calorie surplus, this means you're going to be in a carbohydrate surplus as well. This means that your nitrogen sparing qualities of carbohydrates are going to transfer over to reserving protein. Carbohydrate is nitrogen, therefore protein sparing. Ironically, when you're trying to build muscle, you actually need less protein than when you're in a calorie deficit and you're trying to lose weight. Now, I say you could drop that 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein down to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, or probably more accurately, 1 gram per pound of lean mass. Take your body fat and take that percentage, take that off of your total body weight, and you could go 1 gram per pound of body weight there. Let's say you were 20% body fat and 200 pounds. This means 200 times 0.2, you're gonna get 40 pounds of fat mass on your body. You don't need to fuel your fat with protein. Stick to 1 gram per pound of lean mass when you're in a calorie surplus. When it comes to using proteins for hormones, sure, this happens, but fats are the building blocks of hormones. And on the flip side, protein is used in every single cell in your body. This isn't to say that it's draining the reserves. It is actually an incredibly inefficient pathway to take skeletal muscle mass and take that protein and use it elsewhere. That is the last choice that your body wants to use for energy and for building up cells. So yes, you need lots of protein, but you need less protein in a calorie surplus when you're building muscle than you do when you're in a calorie deficit. Probably counterintuitive to what you've been told in the past. Number 2 is eat more. Yes, this is energetics. Calories in, calories out. This is always true. There is nuance, there is psychology, there are details to this, but calories in, calories out is something nobody can get away from. There's no thyroid condition, no metabolism stipulation, other than how much do you move and how much do you put into your body. That is going to represent if you're eating enough or if you're eating too much. Now, the only way you're truly going to know is by stepping on the scale. Step on the scale on a regular basis every single day and then take that average for 7 days. So what I would recommend is Wednesday to Tuesday, take your body weight every single day. On Tuesday night, take all of those numbers, average them up, and you're good to go. You can fluctuate in body weight 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds in a day for salts, for water. If you're constipated, if you have diarrhea, anything like that is going to dramatically change. And let's say you're constipated one week and have diarrhea the next week. Well, first of all, go see a doctor. Second of all, see a dietitian. Third of all, that could be a 7-pound difference. And if that is the case, well, you're going to feel like you're losing tremendous amounts of weight, even though there's really no calorie difference. So average weight is really important. Your calorie consumption and tracking this is important to an extent, but I say this all the time, companies have leeway of plus or minus 20% when listing calories on a container. If you're trying to go for a 3,000 calorie diet, plus or minus 20% means you could be at 2,400 calories, you could be at 3,600 calories. With 1 pound being 3,500 calories, well, this 1,200 calorie difference, you might be adding 2 pounds a week. You might be losing 2 pounds a week. You just don't know unless you're on the scale. So tracking calories, useful guide, but not necessarily the end all be all. But if you're not gaining weight, you're not gaining muscle, eat more food. My number one tip in terms of the psychology of eating food, do not chew food if you want to eat more, i.e., liquid food is the go. Number 3, it says work big, not small. And by this, they mean multi-joint movements should be the foundation of a muscle building program. And I wholeheartedly agree with this. Unless you're a competitive bodybuilder and you're trying to sculpt individual body parts for a certain shape or aesthetic, compound movements are going to be your key. If we think about someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, well, he tried to train his calves and tried to grow his calves for a very long period of time. They were the weakness for his whole career. So if you're someone who has smaller biceps, you could train the hell out of your biceps, but they're probably still going to be small to the rest of your body, no matter how specific you get. If we think of a compound movement like a row, if your biceps are very weak, well, your biceps are going to be disproportionately working because your back is so much stronger. So a compound movement sort of takes this into account in the first place. Now, the best bang for your buck is going to be with these compound movements, and this is the important thing. How long do you have to spend in the gym? How many units of effort, of true maximal effort, are you able to give before you burn out? Well, that's going to determine ultimately what exercises you should choose. If you have all the time in the world, you have all the energy in the world, sure, do your compound, do your accessory, do your isolation, no problem. But if you don't have time, space, energy for all of those, go ahead and stick to the ones that matter most, which are going to be your heavy compound movements: squatting, bench pressing, deadlifting, shoulder pressing, rowing, those types of multi-joint movements. If you like this type of information about exercise from me and you want to learn more, I have a slew of free PDFs for you at the link in the description on Moose Coaching. My goal is to get you fitter, healthier, stronger. Whatever your exercise goals are, I want to help you along the way. So go ahead and check those out. Free, link in the description for Moose Coaching. I'd love to welcome you on the team. Now let's get back to the video. Number 4, muscle building fundamentals that you need to learn, according to Men's Health, is train heavy. Their recommendation is to go 4 sets of 3 to 5 for a main movement, then 3 sets of 10 to 12 afterwards. And this is categorically untrue. Training with intensity and training with stretch are the 2 things, according to the research, that are most important when it comes to building muscle, according to Dr. Mike Israetel. And you can go look this up for yourself. For those of you who don't look at research papers often, just go into Google, type scholar, muscle building rep range, whatever. What you're going to find is the closer you get to failure, the more potent that is for building muscle. The old adage where 1 to 5 reps was for building strength, 8 to 12 reps was for building muscle, and 15 or more reps was for muscular endurance, it's just not true. If you take an untrained person and tell them to go run for a week, when they start that running program, they add muscle. Even though they're aerobically training, they're adding muscle. If you take a strongman or a powerlifter and you start them at the beginning of their career and all you have is heavy strength training for 6 months, they're going to add muscle. The reason that this came about in the first place is because low reps was low energy expenditure, low caloric burn, low fat burn, low muscle gain, but taught you the skill of lifting heavy. Sure, this is true. This will help you get strong. On the other end, muscular endurance training, high fat burn, low muscle gain, and very high caloric expenditure mean that no, you're not gonna build muscle because you're gonna burn too many calories. Well, the research says that it actually doesn't even matter how much exercise you do, all the way up to marathon running, your appetite balances out the exercise that you do. If you watch the finish line from a half marathon and you watch the 20th percentile of finishers, you're getting all body shapes and sizes. Not everyone is shredded, lean, low muscle, low body fat. It is absolutely all over the shop. So do not try to have the calorie equation impacted in the gym, have the calorie equation impacted with your diet. And this gets us back to rep ranges do not matter. What matters is what can you tolerate? What can your body tolerate? If you're a young male who wants to be strong, do sets of 3 to 5 and have that as the foundation of your training. If you are older or you are injured or you don't care about being strong, do sets of 15 and get a great pump and feel the burn. As a professional strongman, I miss the pump so much. I never get it because all I'm doing is sets of 1 to 6, maybe 8, but I don't really get that feeling anymore. And I hate that. I would love to train. And if I was just going to build muscle, I would go up into the 12 to 15 rep range because to me, it feels way better. But whatever you're going to stick to and you can work to maximal intensity is what you need to focus on. We're going to get to that in a second. But number 5, it says, have a drink first. And by this, they're referencing one particular article where amino acids and carbs consumed pre-workout increase protein synthesis. This sounds great. And of course, we want to increase protein synthesis, but it's well established that it's total daily intake that actually matters, not much else. Timing doesn't matter. Anabolic window doesn't exist, really. So all you need is to have the correct amount of carbohydrates and protein throughout the entire day. Now, there might be a statistical significance in this study, meaning that if you have enough people and you have enough of a dispersion of results, it gives no credence to, is this practically significant? Is this actually going to make an impact? If you have enough people, you could have 0.0001 grams of muscle added, and that's going to show a statistical significance. Does anyone actually care? Does it actually make a difference? Do you look better? Are you stronger? No. You're not adding muscle in any meaningful way. So focus on the things that actually matter, and the timing of your nutrients does not matter near as much as you think it does. We're going to talk about that as well. But first, don't always go hard is tip number 6 from Men's Health on 10 muscle building fundamentals that you need to learn. This is maybe the worst advice of the bunch. They say 3 out of 7 training to failure or you can't grow, or 3 times a week training to failure or you can't grow. This is nonsense. I can't even agree or disagree with this because it makes no sense to me. Well, why does it make no sense? Because so many things matter in this context. You're making a local argument of this muscle cannot recover if you train more than 3 times a week. Well, what if you do one body part a week? Then that muscle has a full week to be able to recover. And if you're training high reps, your nervous system doesn't need the same amounts of recovery and adaptation as if you're training low reps. This is a different conversation. And if you're training low reps, well, maybe training the same body part twice a week is not possible because you're going so hard. So the splits and the volume matter a lot in this conversation. Can you do squats 3 times a week? Yes. Can you do deadlifts 3 times a week? Probably not. Can you do bench press 4 times a week? Probably. The less total load on your nervous system and the less axially loaded load you have, the more frequently you can do something and the more frequently you can work to failure. But you're going to watch these fundamental signs of fatigue in order to determine, can you continue working as hard as you are? And this is, are you sore on a regular basis? Are you irritable? And can you sleep? As a fourth, does your appetite change? But that kind of comes down the track. And if you're tracking your weight, that's fine. But those first 3, keep track of those. That's all that matters. Okay? Your program is important. Your splits are important. But going hard is the most important. If you're not working to failure, your body will not adapt. Your body's entire job is homeostasis and staying alive. It is not to physiologically change to get excess amounts of muscle that you don't need for any practical reason. It's to store energy, to eat lots of food, to get fat, because that's what's going to keep you alive for longer in an evolutionary sense, not being lean and having lots of muscle. You have to fight your body's natural instinct. You have to work very, very hard to be able to add muscle. So if you're in the gym, apart from deload weeks, which I'll talk about in a second, you need to work to maximal effort. You need to. This is the only non-negotiable. If you have any more than 2 reps left in the tank and you're trying to build muscle, you're wasting your time. Go home, you're wasting your time. You need to be very, very close to failure. You need to be trembling. You need to work very hard. Now, deload weeks are a thing and you absolutely need them. Anywhere from every 6 weeks if you're training for strength to every 12 weeks if you're training for hypertrophy. But taking a week where you just have lighter loads, things are a bit easier. Neurologically, we need this. But locally, we really don't if you're training for muscle building, so long as you're eating, sleeping, and resting adequately. Number 7, they say down the carbs post-workout. So number 5 is down the carbs pre-workout, and number 7 is down the carbs post-workout. Ignoring that, they say have a banana, a sports drink, or a peanut butter sandwich after you train. I can think of about 1 million meals better than a peanut butter sandwich after training, but I disagree with this advice on the whole. Now, yes, you should have carbs post-workout, of course, but you should have this as a meal with protein and with very little fat. Reason being, fat slows down the digestion time of your meals and of your food. So having fat is going to have less of an impact on how quickly you can get nutrients into your body. That being said, the argument of carbohydrates and protein needing to be had immediately after your workout is total debunked misnomers. The reason is this anabolic window where you're extra insulin sensitive, how long do you think it lasts? Think to yourself and think of what you've been told in the past of how quickly. Maybe you're thinking half an hour, maybe an hour, maybe 2. The period of time where you increase your insulin sensitivity, which is going to help with recovering your muscles, with refueling your muscles, is actually 48 hours. And there's lots of this research in type 1 and type 2 diabetics and type 3 diabetics. And this pathway of muscular contraction leading to the muscles being quote unquote thirstier for glucose is the AMPK pathway. This increase in AMPK for 2 days, no matter if you are sensitive to insulin or not, is going to shuttle glucose into your muscles for 2 days. Whether you have your meal 30 minutes after, 2 hours after, 4 hours after, it makes absolutely no difference. Okay? Practically. Statistically, maybe, but practically, the research shows you are not getting any benefit from panicking to have your meal after your workout. So have a heavy carb, heavy protein meal after training. Great. Why? Because that helps you get your total calories in, total protein and carbs in for the day, not because you need some sort of window. So structure your food in a way that works for you. If it's training and straight off to work and all you can get is a protein shake in the car or something quick, that's fine. Fill out your macros later, fill out your micros later. This nonsense of having a banana, a sports drink, or a peanut butter sandwich after your workout, it does not matter. Just get your total carbs in. Could you do that and have a great diet? Sure, it's no problem, but it's certainly not a fundamental. Number 8, they say challenge yourself with progressive overload. This is an absolute yes. This might be the number one thing people get wrong in the gym, is not tracking what they're doing. The number 2 thing that people get wrong is when they track, they feel like the only way to progressively overload is through load and through volume. This is not true. You can progressively overload through decreasing tempo, increasing the movement variation challenge, increasing tempo if you want to be more powerful, reducing rest times, using pause reps, going single leg or single arm, reducing stability, increasing distractions, say in sport-specific contexts, a baseball player who's, say, squatting and having to identify numbers on a chalkboard, something like that. All of those work to progressively overload. Now, as a guideline, you want to progressively overload 2 to 5% every week, and this needs to be tracked. You can't just go in and just go for your life. The difficulty is everything is always going to feel heavy. No matter how strong you get, it's going to feel heavy, and it should. You're in the gym to challenge yourself and push the boundaries of what you're capable of, but you're not going to know exactly what that is if you don't track your weight week over week. Track your weight, track your load, track your sets, 2 to 5%. Change up how you progressively overload, but progressively overloading is an absolute must in order to build muscle. Number 9 is they say maximize time under tension. Now, do not maximize time under tension, but they don't actually mean that here. They say perform each movement with control, i.e. do not let the load off of the muscle, and I definitely agree with this notion. If you rest between reps, let's say you're doing a set of 5 squats, it's a very different load on your muscles. If you do 1 rep, stand up, breathe, then rep 2, where if you go rep 1, stand, rep 2. That load on your muscle is very different. And the reason that this is important is because it's impossible to measure progressive overload if you change up how much time you're resting between your reps. This is not really a problem when it comes to muscle growth, but it is a problem with knowing how much are you progressively overloading. Doing a cluster set, for example, where you do a few reps, then you let the weight off and you rest for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, then you go do another set of 2 to 3. You're going to be stronger doing that than if you just do a set of 4 to 6. So do not rest between reps. Keep the load on the muscle as much as possible. Do not take extensive breaks between your reps and just get through it. Be rhythmic about it. Be smooth about it. Do not overextend yourself. Injury risk and impossible to measure progressive overload. That's number 9. And lastly, they say sleep at least 6 hours. Absolutely. They give really practical insights here. Sleeping 8 to 10 hours like generally recommended. Yes, that's impractical for some people, but sleep is the number 1 recovery tool. The more you sleep, the more time your body has to repair. The more you repair, the more muscle you're going to build. So that is the 10 muscle building fundamentals for Men's Health. It's a bit hit and miss, and here are my top 3 fundamentals. And I believe all you need are these 3 things in order to build muscle. Number 1, eat lots of food. Eat more food than you're expending. Your body will gain muscle. It will gain weight. If you resistance train and you eat protein, you will gain muscle. Number 2 is train very hard always. If you have 30 minutes in the gym, 20 minutes in the gym, you can do a full chest workout. You can do a full leg workout. The amount of junk volume I see everyday people doing in the gym is astronomical. I spend 2 to 2.5 hours in the gym to win World's Strongest Man. That's it. If you're just trying to be a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, well, if you do 1 set of machine chest press to failure, that is a great chest workout. It would take you 5 minutes and you would get a very good stimulus from that. Compare that to doing a 7 out of 10 effort chest press, bench press, incline chest press, chest fly. That's what I see people do. And you're wasting the vast majority of that time on just moving to move. You have to force your body to change and force it with great intent because it does not want to. And number 3 is recover well. Increase your sleep, reduce your life stress, and eat good food. Simple as that. Those are my 3 tips for building muscle. Let me know what you think of Men's Health List. Let me know what you think of my top 3. Pop that in the comments below. As per usual, thank you very much for watching. Lift heavy, be kind. Merch link down in the description, and we'll catch you tomorrow.